what's up everyone? My name is Queen V, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different on the channel today. Today we are going to be talking about season 43 of Survivor that is starting today. Today is September 21st, it is Wednesday, and Survivor is back. I'm so excited for this new season of Survivor, and at first a little backstory. I've been watching Survivor since I was the wee old age of 8 years old. I was in grade 3. I was knitting and watching Survivor with my family, and I haven't really missed a season ever since, and from there we've just become mega fans. I've watched every season of Survivor, every twist, every turn, every blindside. I've been there, I've been enraptured, and I've definitely been a key audience member with myself, my mom, and my sister. Now, starting with this season, we're doing something a little bit different. Last season, or 2 seasons ago, we began a fantasy Survivor season and did a little bit of gaming. It wasn't real gambling or anything like that. There wasn't any real prize. It was just more bragging rights. But we started it. I was a part of it. It was exciting and it was exhilarating, and I decided that I was going to join my sister's little fantasy league, and it would get me a little bit more into Survivor, but also give me a chance to really get to know the castaways for this season. And so what I'm going to be doing today, just before before the episode airs, I'm going to be sharing with you my picks, talking about the categories, and a little bit about what it's going to look like as we are moving forward. So first things first, this is my sister's league. My sister is Tati B on Twitch and TikTok, don't forget that. And she has created a list of 8 categories that we will need to fill in before we watch the season. So everything, all of my decisions that I've made completely come from the website, from the cast imaging, and from the answers that they answered on their applications. It's going to vary person per person, and it was also very challenging to do this after not seeing the first episode, and I feel like a lot of changes I'm going to want to make after I meet them. I meet their personality. Who knows what they're going to be like on screen versus how they are in the actual game. But what I'm going to do is share my picks, share a little bit about what I'm excited for, and then every week at the end of every episode I will have a spoiler alert, and I will share not only some of my favorite moments, some predictions, but I will also get a chance to update my fantasy league and tell you if I won any points for that day or if I lost any points for that day. So with that said, let's just get right into it. So the official Survivor fantasy picks, the way it works is there's a bunch of categories, and the reason why we have to do it so soon and not watch the episode first is because there is a section in a category for first out. So my first out pick, just looking at my list, was Cassidy Clark, and honestly, I didn't want to pick Cassidy Clark. What I actually did in the first place was pick, okay, looking at the 3 tribes, which tribe is least likely to win the first immunity challenge? And then from there, I had to pick, okay, who would be a strong contender on the tribe, who would try to not take control, but who would definitely want people on their side. And I picked Cassidy as somebody who would really want to be in control of their own game, and I could also see her as a threat. So I could see everyone coming together thinking she's a threat and voting her out first. It's not a dig on Cassidy at all. Just looking at her profile, she's very strong. She's very she looks very excited about the game. She has some good strategy, and I'm more socially worried that she'll be seen as a threat so early on that she'll get voted out. So the second category, speaking of first out, was which tribe do you think is going to win the first immunity challenge, and which tribe do you think is going to last the longest going into the merge? I think a lot about previous seasons, about how there was always that one tribe that dominated, like David and Goliath. That was pretty evident. There was always one tribe that was going. And so based on the 3 tribe photos, first of all, the tribe names are Vesi, Coco, and Baka. Very interesting names. I have yet to see the reasoning behind this, but I have a feeling that TikTok culture really paid an influence, because a lot of this seems like meme culture, but I also could be completely inept with this knowledge. So if anyone knows the real reason why they're named this way, can you please let me know in the comments below, because I don't want to seem like I'm missing something, but I feel like I'm missing something. So the first question was, which tribe do you think will win the first team immunity challenge? And I said that it was going to be Vesi. Just looking at all of the 3 photos and looking at who is compatible, thinking about that, looking at their profiles as well, thinking about who would get along who. Obviously, I haven't seen anything yet. I have to make a decision. I picked Vesi. They just looked strong. They looked not intimidating, but they looked like they could work together as a team quicker than the rest of the tribes, and I feel like there's more tribe cohesiveness. And obviously, I'm doing this just based on imagery, which feels a little bit, superficial, but I had to make a decision, and this was the decision that I made, especially because a lot of their answers, particularly for the reason why they want to be Soul Survivor, a lot of them talked about outwitting each other, but also they really talked about trust and loyalty loyalty and sticking with each other till the end. So I have a feeling that that's just going to lead them on, which also leads me to my answer for which tribe I think is going to stay together the longest. I do think it is going to be Vesi. I don't have any intel other than what I just said about being first out. A lot of them discussed loyalty, and I have a feeling that the loyalty aspect of it, not just voting each other out, but the loyalty will really keep them strong and connected until the merge. After the merge, who knows? We're in a new era of Survivor, you know? People really don't stick together till the end like they did in the first 20 seasons, but we will see how that plays out, especially after the first episode. I might change my answer depending on how the tribe works together to create their camp. So the next two questions I was really apprehensive about answering, only because I'm doing it based completely on images and completely on age, which is absolute travesty. But the next category is who will be medevaced first. There's always a medevac at some point in the season, whether it is later on in the season or the beginning. I believe the last couple of times they've been trying to avoid medevacs, but they are known to happen on Survivor. It's Survivor. It's a game against the elements. And based in the last two seasons of the lack of resources that they are being given, they have to rely more on the land. I have a feeling that there's going to be a similar chain of events where people could be more at risk to be medevaced. And I'm actually choosing my Gabler for this one, which is a bit different than my original choice. My original choice that I originally wanted to pick, actually I'm going to pull up her image now, was Noelle Lambert. She was my original choice, but then when I was going through the imagery again, thinking about age, thinking about not just looks, but the way that this person answered their questions, it was a lot of one-word answers. It was a lot of like, I've known Survivor, I've watched Survivor, I want to be in Survivor, but I don't necessarily see as much drive as the rest of the cast, and I wonder if that could possibly lead to some type of medevac. He seems fairly knowledgeable. I mean, he's a heart valve specialist. This guy seems to know what he's doing. He's intellectual, he's smart, he's talented, but based on the imagery and the ages, I'm sorry, I had to pick him, and I feel really guilty about that, but it is what it is. This is really tough, and I'm sure that if I was ever on a season of Survivor, that I would be the first person to be everyone's pick for medevac because I have so prone to injuries myself. All right, so the next category is the mid section of the season, which is the hardest, I think, in my opinion, to be able to decide, because I basically have to pick who I would like to win, who the final jury would be, and talk about the merge and who would be on the jury. So the very first category that I'm seeing based on this list is who will win the first immunity challenge that is individual, and I chose James Jones. And then I also said who will win the last individual immunity, and I said Noelle Lambert. Based on their answers, talking about going through adversity, talking about lacrosse, talking about athleticism, and also talking a little bit about how they're more of an all-around type of person. They've got the wits about them, they have the social strengths, they have the athletics. I have a feeling that these people are going to be thriving post-tribe and going into individual because they are so individually focused and individually skilled. I feel like the challenges are going to be made for them. They also are favorites of the show, fan favorites. They've seen seasons of Survivor constantly, so I have a feeling that they may be more aware of the challenges and the types of challenges and have prepared properly for them. This section I actually didn't fill out completely. The next section is who would win fire building. So in fire building, I said who would win. I said Ryan would win, and this was this was the one category where I looked directly at the profile. I looked at his picture and I immediately picked, just solely based on the fact that he looked like he had the most experience with outdoor skills, and I have a feeling that under pressure that he is someone that would be able to stand up to the challenge and create fire under pressure. As for who would lose, I didn't pick anyone, but that's solely based on the fact that on their profiles and based on a lot of the answers that were given, particularly by two different individuals, I couldn't pick between the two. I don't know their outdoor skills. I don't know their adventure skills. I also don't know if that is something that over the course of the game that they're going to learn. I know 2 seasons ago on Survivor, there was a whole time where for an entire afternoon, they just practiced making fire, both of them. So it's something that I'm probably going to answer a little bit later. I know I'm not supposed to do that. I can also forfeit the points. It is 10 points that I'm forfeiting, but I'm really, really excited about my top picks, so I have a feeling that it will balance itself out. And finally, here are my top picks for who I think is going to win Survivor this season without actually getting to know them. So first things first, usually there are only 3 that you'd pick, but I picked a strong 4th, the person who I think is going to get 4th. And the reason why is because in the Fantasy League, it is easier to move up your 4th place than it is to move anyone else around into those slots. So it just, I think, makes sense and the most sense for me to have picked this person. But in fourth, I picked Jeanine Zheng. And is it Jeanine? Jeanine? This is her. I apologize if I messed up your name, but I have a very strong feeling that she's going to be in the final immunity. It's not just her picture. The entire outlook of her entire profile, the way she presents herself as a strong contender for the game of Survivor. Even based on some of her answers, I could tell that she's here to play, she's here to win, and based on the way the last couple of seasons of Survivor have been, we need more strong women in the final. Number one, that's just my hope. I feel like that's a little biased, but I also see herself playing that type of game and getting to the end with that game in mind. Another third place person that I picked, because I actually picked two, because it's easier on the scale to be able to move things up and down, is Ryan. And I picked Ryan not only because I picked him as the person who I think is going to be winning Fire, but I honestly think, based on his profile, his answers, and the way that I think he's going to be playing the game, that he's going to be someone to watch this season. Like I said before when he was making Fire, I have a feeling that he is going to be a strong contender. He gives me Mad, Dominic, Wendell vibes, Malcolm, Ozzy, these strong male contenders who have made Survivor all about outplaying their contestants. He's going to be outplaying everyone in competitions, in tribal councils, whether it be through his strategy and his social prowess, or giving people a run for their money in the individual challenges. I didn't pick him to win first and last, but I do think that he is going to be winning individual immunity and making it that far in the game. And I honestly don't know if the jury is going to be sold on picking him as the sole survivor solely based on the fact that I feel like he might be someone who burns a lot of bridges at the very end of the game. Now, fan favorite. I'm just going to put it on the screen. Honestly, I don't feel like I need to explain this. I already love her. Already. I can't even tell you why. I don't know if it's the vibes, but reading her profile, I just knew immediately this is going to be a fan favorite. Everyone's going to absolutely adore and love her, and we'll see if this actually comes to fruition or not. Second, I picked Morriah Young. This one is 100% a biased pick. I'm a teacher. I'm also very creative. Reading her profile, I felt this kinship towards it. I could immediately sense the excitement, the engagement, the entire not leaving your career, but leaving your classroom, leaving your family. Like, when you're a teacher, it's an entirely different phenomenon, a different story to be able to do that. But also I have a feeling that because she's a teacher, she's able to blow out little fires. She's able to have a really good poker face. And I have a feeling that because of that, and because of the skill set that she has, she's going to be able to make it far in this game because of her social skills. I have a feeling this is going to be a strong social game season, a lot less athletics and more social game. That's not to say that I don't think she's athletic. I think she can definitely get out there and be one with everyone else, but I do think that her social game is going to be her biggest asset and her biggest strength. And then my number one slot. This one was a tough one. I really struggled to pick because I don't know, and I ended up just pretty much making a final guess. I said, okay, gut feeling, because I felt like there are so many strong contenders for the sole survivor this season, and who knows, maybe I'll watch the first episode and immediately regret this decision, but I chose Cody. So Cody is a part of the Vesi tribe, which is the tribe that I really think is going to stay strongest the longest, but I really get some insane Dominic energy from this guy, some Wendell energy. I'm really sensing that this guy is going to be going along places, and that his social game is going to be there, but that he's going to be able to put out in challenges early so that Vesi could win and help win and continue to win challenges. He talks a lot about in his profile about charisma and professionalism. He has his hero listed as someone who died previously of cancer, and I can only imagine the heartbreak that must have put him through, but also the adversity that he must have gone through in order to be able to overcome something like that. I think the story combined with the social aspect, the physical aspect, the entire point of playing Survivor is to outwit, outlast, outplay, and I have a feeling that right now, just solely based on the profiles that I'm reading and the pages I'm reading, that he's the strongest contender for Sole Survivor this year, but only time will tell. Thank you all so much for watching this very first video. I know it's very out of pocket for me to be posting this, but I'm hoping to make this into a mini series. I've been very excited about Survivor for a long time. I've been engaged in watching a ton of Survivor content, whether it's podcasts, videos, predictions, but I'm just looking for more people to listen and watch Survivor with me and to talk about these things with. I feel like a lot of people in my friend group, it's just not their vibe, it's just not their style, and I'm looking for more people to have this conversation with and be engaged in those communities communities of people, but also have a little bit of fun with my family. To end off this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how the Fantasy League is going to work. So each category that I just discussed has a certain amount of points, and next video when I do my episode 1 recap, I'm going to have my sister Tati be with me. She's going to explain how she tiered it a little bit, and she's also going to talk a little bit about how every day at the end of every recap video, I will have a point allowance for each of the people that are currently in the league. Finally, the Fantasy League doesn't have a real prize. My sister and I are debating. She wants to do some type of $20 gift card. I came up with the idea that maybe at the end of the Fantasy League, whoever wins gets a Survivor 43 buff from the online store, because I think that that's super cute. That way, next season, whenever the next season of Survivor comes, we can all put our bets into the Fantasy League again, and it can just become a soft practice of whoever wins the Fantasy League gets a buff, and if you win multiple seasons, the buffs will be there, and it will just be something to keep our family together, but also a little reminder of all the fun that we got to share. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Stay strong, stay true to who you are, and I hope that all the Survivor fans catch this, and if you have any more ideas, maybe some tips, some hot tips that I wasn't aware of, or maybe some predictions, you can leave them in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, friends!